If you're nerdy about internet culture, the Backrooms are kind of a perfect case study. A creepy image shows up online. A community grabs it. Then, over a few years, that community turns it into lore, found footage, wikis, Steam games, Roblox maps, theory videos, and eventually something big enough for the mainstream to care about. You can literally watch the franchise form in public. That's the part I find interesting. The Yellow Room matters. The image is strong. Everybody remembers it. The fan-made side is where the whole thing really accelerates. Back in 2019, the original post handed people 3 incredibly useful ingredients: the image, the name, and the no-clip idea. That last part is huge. The second you say somebody can no-clip out of reality and land in the Backrooms, the setting starts behaving like a game space. People immediately understand that there are rules, boundaries, weird edge cases, dead ends, and probably way more than one area. Internet communities love structure like that. So the fandom got to work. People started naming levels, writing survival guides, inventing entities, making fake reports, debating exits, debating time, building systems around danger ratings, supplies, safe areas, hostile areas, all of it. And once fans start systematizing a horror setting, you get a very specific kind of longevity. Now, people have stuff to learn, stuff to argue about, stuff to explain on YouTube, stuff to turn into wiki pages, stuff to adapt into maps and games. That's where the Backrooms really took off. A lot of internet horror flashes for a week and disappears. The Backrooms had a much better loop. Every piece of fan work created material for the next person. One creator adds a level. Another creator designs something that lives there. Someone else writes a guide about surviving it. Then a lore channel summarizes the whole thing. Then a game developer builds a version of it. Then a streamer plays it. Then viewers go looking for the wiki. That loop kept feeding itself. And the cool part is that the fandom never needed perfect agreement. The disagreements were productive. You had atmosphere first people who wanted the endless empty room version. You had lore first people who wanted the full level catalog, entities, factions, documents, and classification systems. Both groups kept the Backrooms active. One group kept the tone sharp. The other group kept the content pipeline full. So the community had room for very different kinds of fans. People who wanted pure horror mood could stay there. People who wanted to memorize 10 layers of fan canon had plenty to dig through. That range matters a lot online. Somebody can enter through a creepy image and stay for the rabbit hole. Somebody else can enter through the rabbit hole and then go back and appreciate the original image more. The wikis were massive for this too. The minute a fandom builds real wiki infrastructure, the project changes scale. Now there's an archive. Now there's a reference point. Now there's a place where new people can spend hours clicking from page to page. And wiki culture fits the Backrooms perfectly. The Backrooms reward categorizing. They reward documentation. They reward that very specific internet brain that loves lists, entries, rankings, cross-references, and deep dives. So of course people built giant lore spaces around them. Then Kane Pixels comes in, and that's the other giant turning point. His found footage videos gave the community a version of the Backrooms that felt technically serious. The concept suddenly had camera language, pacing, sound design, architecture you could move through, and a sense of scale that still felt fan-originated instead of corporate. That mattered a lot. People already knew the Backrooms as a shared idea. Now they had a version that proved the idea could carry cinematic weight. You could show those videos to somebody outside the fandom and they'd get it immediately. That's a huge bridge moment for any internet-born property. And even then, the community stayed central. Kane's success energized the whole ecosystem. More people joined, more creators jumped in, more developers made games, more channels covered the lore, more fans started making their own interpretations. You're watching community output generate demand in real time. Games were basically guaranteed from the start. The Backrooms already come with navigation, tension, hidden rules, maze logic, separation from your group, weird environmental storytelling, and the constant fear of hearing something in the next room. That translates beautifully into indie horror. So, once the Backrooms got momentum, creators on Steam, Roblox, and every other user-generated corner of the internet had a really easy pitch. Build a maze, make it wrong, add sound design, add pressure, let people explore. And then co-op pushed the whole thing even further. The Backrooms work solo. They also work perfectly for the kind of horror people love to play with friends. You get lost. You call out to each other. Someone disappears around a corner, everybody panics. That turns the concept into content very quickly. A scary image becomes a scary experience. A scary experience becomes a clip. A clip becomes discoverability. Discoverability sends people back into the fandom. The visual design helped a lot too, and this matters for the global part. The Backrooms are extremely readable. Yellow walls, old carpet, fluorescent lights, dead office geometry, huge empty interiors. That iconography travels fast. A creator anywhere in the world can build something with that language and audiences will recognize it almost instantly. There's very little friction there, very little setup, very little dependence on dialogue. A Backrooms video can work with almost no talking. A Backrooms game can work through space and sound alone. A Backrooms image can go viral in 2 seconds. That gives the community a huge advantage. The format crosses platforms easily, and it crosses language barriers pretty well too. Another reason this became a franchise is that the Backrooms are easy to iterate on. With the Backrooms, the setting carries the identity. That opens everything up. Fans can add rooms, rules, maps, side lore, found footage angles, expedition logs, or entire new branches of canon without breaking the basic identity. The core stays readable. That flexibility is incredibly valuable. It keeps creators engaged because there's always another version to make. So by the time bigger companies started paying attention, the community had already done the hard part. The iconography was there, the fandom language was there, the wiki culture was there, the game adaptations were there, the YouTube grammar was there. The audience was already trained to recognize Backrooms content across formats. At that point, franchise is basically a description of what already exists. And that's why the Backrooms feels so modern as an internet success story. This thing grew through community labor, anonymous posts, forum replies, fan canon, lore docs, creators, wikis, short films, Roblox maps, indie games, explanation videos, streamers, more fans, more creators, repeat. That repeat cycle is the story. So when people ask how the Backrooms became a global franchise, I always land on the same answer. The fans kept converting one strong concept into every format the internet rewards. They turned an image into a setting. They turned the setting into a knowledge base. They turned the knowledge base into videos and games. They kept inviting new people in from different platforms. And the whole thing kept growing because everybody could add something without needing permission from a central source. That's basically open source horror. A creepy prompt showed up. The community expanded it. Every platform gave it another form. And after enough rounds of that, the Backrooms became something people could enter, play, debate, map, and pass on. That's how a weird yellow room turns into a global franchise.